guys, Fro here. On this channel, we make videos around technology tips, career advice and inspiration, helping you elevate your career, earn more money so you can live a better life. If you're new to the channel, welcome. If you're not, welcome back. Please consider subscribing below. So guys, today we're going to be talking about 10 non-tech degrees that will help you land a career in IT. We're going to look at 10 non-tech degrees that will help you land a career in IT. This is a topic that a lot of people have been asking about. This is a very high in demand topic. You know, on this channel, technology tips is one of the big things we talk a lot about. Now, a lot of people want to get into technology. But the question is, how do you get into technology? What are the steps to get into technology? If you're thinking with the traditional mindset, every instinct in you will tell you to go out and to get a technology degree, right? To get a programming degree, to get a coding certification. That's what a lot of people do. But guys, there is a great opportunity for people who can think different. You know, technology takes a lot of skills for you to succeed in there. And not everything has to be the geek, the programming, the writing of code kind of mindset. So even if you're not doing technology and you're doing something else, there's great opportunity for you to take those skills in other areas, translate that into technology, and make a great career out of it. So that's why this is a very powerful list. 10 non-tech degrees. So even if you're not in technology, one of these degrees might be something that interests you, and you can build from that to get a great and amazing degree or get a great and an amazing career working in the tech field. And before we go into the 10 things that I've compiled for us today, I want to share with you an interesting story where this really hit home for me a while back. Back in my early days in the field, just landing my first job and just being a beginner in the industry, I went for an interview, and it so happened that the person who interviewed me for that position went to the same college that I went to the same university that I went to, and we were having a conversation. So I asked him, you know, he was actually the director of that department. So I asked him, you're the director of this sales and marketing department, and you're hiring me as a tech professional to come work for that department. I was imagining that this guy, it was a guy, by the way, that he went to school and did computer science, or he did math, or he must have done some engineering stuff. And I was so surprised, and this was the naive me at the point. I was so surprised when he told me he studied history in college. His major in college was history. Now, a lot of people will not think about the fact that somebody can go to school, study history, and then in the real world, they're out there, you know, leading and running an IT department of over 20-something people. All right. But that's the reality. Just because you went to school and you didn't study IT, you did not study HTML or Java or Python or Scala or data science or DBA or whatever the hot thing is, it doesn't mean you cannot make a great career out of the IT field. It's a big field. All right. So this is why this list is very powerful. Now, that said, with a lot of pre-talk for this, we're going to dive right in. Again, it's not an exhaustive list. I came up with 10 things. You can certainly make this list into almost every major that there is in university. You can take that major and find some correlation into IT, because IT is pervasive. Almost everything we do today has something to do with IT. All right, that said, a lot of the intro. Let's dive right into the very first one. Now, this is the first and the obvious one, which is business. All right, we know a lot of companies today are in business to make money, sell goods, reduce their costs, and make some profit. So if you understand business, all right, and you can speak business, and you have a business degree, now it just takes some fundamental understanding of certain IT concepts, and you can work in IT and make a great career out of it. All right, because a lot of IT people have no understanding of business. So if you come in with your business degree and you have a little bit of understanding of IT, now you are golden. You are golden. You will be like a unicorn that people are seeking after. All right, because a lot of business people don't understand IT. A lot of IT people don't understand business. If you can be the bridge in between that two, there is a great opportunity for it. So just because you're doing business as your diploma, as your degree, doesn't mean you have no future in IT. As a matter of fact, a greater amount of people would be required to have business degrees in order for them to succeed in IT. Now, the next thing that we have on this list here, it's art and communication. And guys, this is great. This is great. Now, I kind of lumped in art and communication in here, even though those are huge and independent areas. But the reason why we do this is just think about social media. It's all about communication. It's all about communication. It's all about art, right? If you go to Instagram, you go to YouTube, you go to Facebook, you go to Pinterest, there are businesses that are running and are in business today because of how they communicate with their customers, how they communicate with the social media and their fans and their network and all of that. And if you have the ability to understand communication, you understand storytelling, you have some art in you, some graphics design, some design kind of skills, guys, this could be a great degree that is not technology, but that could be used in a technology field to great success. So art and communication will be something that I would definitely look at if you have a non-tech degree and you want to work in IT. Now, the next thing here, again, kind of building from art and communication, is English and literature. A lot of companies, they need people who can, it could be language. I could just put language in there, right? It could be French, it could be German, it could be Chinese, for all we care, all right? But some form of language and literature. You can write, you can articulate things using language, all right? And why is this very important? So think about all the technical documentation, think about all the manuals, think about, just the user experience of a tool. Companies want people who can write the documentation of how to install their software, how to communicate with their users, right? And tell a story about your company. There is some form of literature that goes in there, and there is some form of language that goes in there. And if you have those degrees and a little bit of exposure to technology, guys, you can be the unicorn that a lot of organizations are seeking, all right? Just imagine making these YouTube videos, writing these scripts, doing the editing and all this process. It takes a lot of language and literature, all right? And if you have those skills, there'll be people going after you to hire you for that. So really powerful. Now, the next one here is engineering. So we have engineering next on the list. So why do I have engineering on this list? And this is not just your computer engineering. We know that is already a given. If you're going to work in IT, you might want to do some computer engineering, some computer science. But the engineering I'm talking about here is more on the non-computer engineering. So think about your mechanical engineering, your electrical engineering, everything from almost everything today is an engineering field, right? Petrochemical engineering, weather engineering, security engineering. Almost everything is engineering today. So it doesn't matter what kind of engineering you're doing, even if you're working with petroleum, you're working with the weather, you're working with customer behavior engineering, you can take those fields and specialize with some exposure in IT and have a great career out of that. So just because you're doing mechanical engineering doesn't mean you can have some exposure to IT and make a great career. As a matter of fact, a lot of mechanical engineers who have IT degrees, because you have to use a lot of software for all the mechanical engineering stuff. If you have an IT degree, also IT understanding, you become an even better mechanical engineer than someone who doesn't have that IT degree. So again, just because you're doing engineering doesn't mean you cannot have a great career in IT. It could actually be a great advantage for you to have an engineering degree and then work in IT. So the next one here again is biology. So engineering, biology, chemistry, all of that, guys, if you have some background in that, it becomes really great if you want to translate and work in IT in that case. So think about medicine, think about research, right? A lot of people are doing, especially with AI, they're using it for medical purposes. So they're using it to sequence and cure diseases. So having a background in biology could be a very great advantage that you can have to work in the field of IT. Now, the next one on that list is mathematics. Again, building on this non-technical fields can give you a great advantage. So think about using math and doing computation with it. If you have a solid math foundation, you add computation on top of that, guys, you can be really golden in the field. Now, the next one on that list here is psychology. Again, thinking about using psychology, applying that to technology could give you some really good advantage. Companies like Facebook and Twitter and YouTube even, they hire a lot of people with psychology degrees to, use that to figure out ways to help them build products that people want to use, and that is almost addictive. We know that's not necessarily a good thing, but that's almost addictive for people to use, and that takes a lot of psychology. So just imagine, coming in with that psychology background and being able to apply that to IT and technology. That could be a really good skill and a really good competency to have. Now, the next one that we have on that list here is political science. This seems like it shouldn't be on the list, but believe me, it definitely deserves a spot on this list. All right. So, just think about the geopolitical climate we're facing now, right? The regulations and all the laws, GDPR, CCPA, that takes some good political understanding to make sense out of all of that. And there are companies that are really looking for people who have this kind of understanding to join their teams so they can build products, that don't, break laws or don't result in fines that could be really expensive. So again, just because you're having a political science degree doesn't mean you cannot translate that into the IT area and make some really good money or really have a good career out of that area. Now, the next one here is criminal justice, and I have criminal justice here and law enforcement. All right, just think about security, thinking about the cyber security space and all the hacking that's going on. And companies are really struggling with this. They want people with not just the law enforcement background, but with criminal justice background, people who have detective backgrounds to kind of come in and help in the cyberspace to go after the bad guys and really help them deal with all the laws and all the regulations that are going on. So again, just because you're having a criminal justice degree or a law enforcement degree, even though that doesn't seem like it has a direct correlation to the tech field, guys, there could be some synergies there for you to play if you play your cards right. So something to definitely think about. All right, now last but not least on this list here is sport. There are a lot of people who just like sports. They have sports degrees. They're kind of, very familiar with that space. And if that's your thing, if that's your area of specialization, we're seeing the rise of esports today. There are a lot of companies that are literally becoming billion-dollar companies by, e-gaming and esports. And if you have some understanding of sports and you can tie that into some form of technology, especially with these e-gaming companies, and you can tell that story across the board, there is a great opportunity there for you to really add value. And not to talk about, maybe looking at sports and using data from sports and doing some sports analytics. There are teams that are hiring people who understand sports, they understand data, and they can help their teams win more by using data and being able to coach their players and coach their teams in really in better ways. All right, so there you have it. I mean, we can certainly make this list as long as we want, but I decided 10 things would be a good starting point for us. All right, so if you look at any of these degrees, right, we can certainly again add to this list. But if you look at any of these degrees and this is where your passion is, it doesn't mean you cannot translate and have a good career on the IT side. All right, guys, so let's bring this back home. What we've seen here is 10 amazing non-tech degrees that can help you with a career in technology. I hope this gives you some ideas. The goal for making this is to kind of get the light bulb going. So hopefully this gives you some ideas for you to think about. There are people who always say, but Threw, I want to do IT. Can you tell me how to do this? Or Threw, should I do programming or mathematics? You can do whatever you want and still be able to have a translation into the IT field and make a great career out of it. I don't think the goal is to pigeonhole anyone into a particular area or into a particular field in order for you to realize success. So there's a great opportunity here for everybody, and you just have to go in. As long as you're good at what you do, there is room for you. All right, guys, so thank you. This is Threw. I think that brings us to the end of this presentation. I hope you found that valuable. Now, if you did, please consider liking that sharing it with somebody who found this valuable. We present and make videos like this. Again, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.